after I come back from Oxford, I get drafted. And part of my efforts in the last, year was to struggle with my feelings about the war in Vietnam, because it was the background of everything. And I'd been in the anti-war movement back in the States. I marched in Washington, even on my way to the boat. But I'd also go down, in 1968, I was down in the basement of my college watching the Tet Offensive, which is when the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese attacked the major cities and in fact took over Hue and took over a lot of Saigon. And there was a shot there of these American Marines behind a wall. Rounds are coming in and they're just huddled there. And it says, "What are you doing? What's going on?" He says, "We don't know. I just want to get out of here and get back home and go back to school." And those guys reminded me of so many of the kids in my high school in Baytown, which, as I was mentioning, is a refinery town, and we probably had 30% of our class, 40% who went to college, if that. And a lot of my friends from high school had already been gone. A couple had been killed. And so I was wrestling with this idea of my moral objections to the war and my sense of being entitled and lucky that here I was in Oxford getting this deferment, and while they were off having to fight. So I wrestled with that a lot. And so when I got my draft notice, I thought about going to Canada. I thought about lots of things. And I took my physical in Newark, New Jersey, and there was like 5 white guys like me, and all four of them had all these folders of x-rays and doctors' things, and they were gone in like 15 minutes. And everybody else was, poor kids from, around and black kids from Newark, and they were saying, "You've got to help me get in." They wanted in because it was a good job and it was something out of a way out. And through a series of events, I'd hoped that I would be able to game the system and end up going to the Defense Language School in Monterey and learning Russian, and then going to the Pentagon and working there in Intel, and sort of get rid of my guilt of being entitled but not have to be part of the war. And I was served but not that. And that was the needle I was trying to thread. But through a series of events, instead of going to the Defense Language School in Monterey, they were sent me to the language school in Quantico for 3 weeks to learn Vietnamese, and they sent me to Vietnam. That was a bit of a detour from the road to success that I thought, I've got a scholarship to Oxford. I was just on this uninterrupted path to making it in whatever institution, lawyer, academia, politics, whatever that you usually do. But there I was on a mountain on Vietnam with a bunch of 19-year-olds scared out of my life. And I really thought, have all those dreams of that paper boy, is that where they end? Is it just going to end in the mud here? And we were in the monsoon, and this satellite went by, or something clicked, boom, you see it sparkling. This was in 1970. And I just remember that. And then also I came back and I went to visit some of my people from my unit who'd been wounded, and they were at a hospital in China Beach. I fainted, and that was my biggest war wound, is I broke my nose. And I say that because years later, China Beach was the first thing I did in television, TV series, and that light going over was Apollo 13, which was the first film I did. And so part of what I see in these cases is a kind of series of successes. I'm from here to here to here, like it's all just meant to be. But between these cases are times when I felt like a total failure, like my life was over, that I was never going to be anything, or that whatever I was going to be, I sucked at it. So this is also in these cases, or between them. And I want to really kind of mention that, because I think what you don't know, if you have any wisdom, is that the dark times in your life, when you think that your dreams aren't going to come true, may often be the portals to give you the freedom to go to your next, whatever is going to happen to you. At least that's my faith now after all this.